if you look in a dictionary, loneliness, solitude, and isolation will all be listed as synonyms, right? And I think that's really interesting because when you're somebody feeling these emotions, they genuinely couldn't be further apart. Like, it's one of those things where, when you talk about something like, oh, you're sad versus you're forlorn, or forlorn, is that the word, forlorn, or melancholy, people will be like people don't really know the difference between those words. There's a lot of places in the English language where it's like, people don't care much for the vocabulary of it. But everybody, and I mean literally everybody I know, completely understands and can articulate solitude versus loneliness versus isolation. And I think loneliness is the most interesting of them to me, right? Because loneliness can sort of mean two things. I think we associate loneliness with somebody that just doesn't have many friends, maybe, or like they're inside a lot. And I think that's actually really inaccurate, because loneliness is perhaps the only one of these emotions that is like, you can be surrounded by a ton of people and still feel lonely. And I think a long time ago, in a very early Paint&Talk, I talked about this. That is genuinely one of the worst emotions to feel, because it's so hard to get out of that, That's the one I felt the most in my life, going through multiple friend groups, like basically my entire time growing up. It felt like it was like, man, like, you feel like a freak, you know what I mean? Because it's like it's like everybody's having fun now but me. And I've done this 3 times with 3 different groups, and I just nothing will click for some reason. Like, you feel crazy. You feel like it's like, no, I am the issue here. And I think that's why it's the worst, because it's like, when you're isolated, you're just alone. You're being isolated, to me, the connotation there is like, you just don't have anybody around you right now. It's like, that's easy. Not easy to go through, but it's easy to get out of, because it's like, someday there will be people here again, right? Like, this will happen. Like, this is not forever. And I know that I just maybe need to, you can take action on that, But it's so much harder to take action on being just generally discontent with the people around you, despite there being a fine amount of them. Like, that's not, it's also so hard because, like, it's so much harder to voice that to people. You know what I mean? Like, people just be like, you're spoiled. If you tell them, like, no, I have friends, they're just, like, they're not right for me. People will be like, you're completely and utterly spoiled, and like, no, like, you could have it so much worse. And I wonder, because there's this, they say we're in a loneliness epidemic, right? I'm sure everybody knows this by now, because I feel like it's been every headline of every think piece for the last couple of years. They always go like, oh, it's because of COVID. No, it's not. That has nothing. Well, now that has nothing to do with it. That was the excuse to shift it in the hardest direction it could go. This has been a trend for a long time. It's also not happening everywhere on Earth. I think that the average man in Norway, or the average adult in Norway, has 14 friends. The average adult in America has 1. This is a very different. It's a very different thing than just a country having a people having some issues because of COVID or technology. That's a whole different rant, though. And I think it's interesting that we have that, because I wonder, they usually mean that in the most literal sense, right? Of like, people don't have friends right now, and that's a huge issue. But I wonder what percent of people going through this are lonely because they have friends versus not liking those friends, or it just doesn't feel right. And I wonder, too, this is something I think about quite often, like, when you're surrounded by people and you feel alone, right? One of the worst emotions to feel, in my opinion. Is it because of those other people, or is it because of you? Like, who's the issue there? I've been in situations where, like, it was totally me. You know what I mean? Like, I was just in the wrong, Like, it's like, these are fine, good people. I'm just not, this is just not my, what's the term? Not my clique, you know, this is not my gang. This is not, doesn't feel right. And I feel like that's harder, you know, than if it's like, these people just suck. Like, that's so much easier, right? To be like, these guys just don't work. Because it's like, well, what if my standards are too high? What if I'm just being annoying right now? And I feel like I've said I feel like a million times now. But this is a very feeling-based episode, so I'll, give me some slack there, maybe. I've been on both sides of the coin where it's like I'm the issue and then these people are the issue. I prefer the other people being the issue every time. On the one hand, because it lets you not take responsibility. Like, it's much easier to go, okay, I'm just gonna get away from this whole thing. And that's like way easier because you just gotta, like, it's in the name, quite literally, you just gotta sort of distance yourself if you can, and then you're good. But when you're the issue, it's so much harder, right? Because you have to address two issues. You have two things you had to tackle now, right? On the one hand, you got to tackle the fact that there is a part of this that comes from your environment around you. It's not all just you. Like, it's sometimes you're in the wrong, maybe literally geographically, you're in the wrong place. On the other hand, I know that happens a lot with people's like political opinions. Like, I've known people where it's like they just needed to move to an area that had more of their like cultural stance on things. And I mean, a lot of people will look down upon that. A lot of people will be like, that's a bad thing to do. But to me, it's like, you know, go ahead. I think that's fine. I think like that's actually kind of natural because like, especially I live in America, you know, this is such a big country where it's like people like, I hate Texas. I will never go back there. It's my least favorite city in the world. I hate Florida, right? Like, these places, despite being in the same country, could not be more different than New York. And I'm sure there are people watching this right now from Florida, like, I would rather die than go to New York, and that's fine, you know? But like, the point is, it's such a big country, there are these like valid changes between where you go. But I don't know why that topic came up. But like, when there's the other side of it, of like, these people are just not right for me, it's so easy. You just gotta change that. But it's not too, because it's like, it's so hard to just find a new group of friends. You know, and that's where, this is one of the things that I found so interesting, is when I made the video on like, is the internet kind of a bad thing? Like, whenever I make one of these videos where it's like, basically, should we stop this whole internet shtick? I always get a ton of comments of like, you're forgetting the internet's also a huge positive because of online friends. Because people, you know, when I'm sitting in my area going, there's nobody around me that likes this card game or whatever, I can go online and join a Discord and have a ton of social interaction of people with a similar interest to me. And I always forget that. One, because I've had a ton of online friends. Shout out Wisdom. He's been my friend since like I was a child, I feel like. But, well, not I feel like. But like, it's always like, I feel like I've just had online friends because like it happened, you know what I mean? Like, it was just like, oh, this guy's cool and I'll keep in touch with them. But I've never had, I think just because of where I live, like, if you try hard enough, you can find somebody that likes the same thing as you here in New York. So it's like, I've never gone through that, but I could genuinely see that argument for you if you live in the Midwest. Especially like, I know growing up, right? The thing my parents would always say, or like that whole generation, it feels like, says, is like, your online friends can never be a replacement for your in-person ones, you know? And I just wonder how true that is. Because I've gone through like during COVID, right? I had way more online friends than I did in-person ones. Like, genuinely, like it wasn't that I lost any in-person friends, it was just like, I did not care to text them for like almost a whole year. And then one day, this was so weird actually, because I had these friends in person during COVID that I'm still friends with many of them to this day. One of them might be watching. Shout out to you. I don't know if she wants me to say her name, but shout out to you. And like, it was like I just didn't text them for like a whole year because of like quarantine or whatever. I just never thought to reach out. I was like, I don't really feel like it. But then like randomly one night, I remember I was like just sitting on my floor and they just like this whole group chat just FaceTime each other and I was in touch with everyone again. It was so bizarre. But the point is, during that time I had way more online friends than I did in-person ones. And like going from that transition of like I'm talking with friends that live 5 minutes from me versus I'm talking with people who I'll never meet in person, and I know that, legitimately never felt different to me for 1 second. Like I would switch any of those out in an instant. It's more so just about like, what are the conversations? Who are the people? Is it cool? Like it's never in a million years felt different to me. The only thing that actually has felt different is like, how functional is this? You know, like I've gone through phases where I got online friends that live across the world. So it's like, I'm not going to bed till 5 a.m. on an average night. That interrupts my lifestyle more so than anything else. And there's solitude, actually. That's the one I wanted to make sure I talked about here, because I feel like solitude has such this association with the arts. Let me know if you guys think that too, because I feel like solitude totally has association of like, you know, like the solitude artist working on this like fantastic thing. And on the one hand, I think it's a myth. Like this idea that like these artists just exist in a bubble and like, you know, spit out the most amazing thing one day out of nowhere. Like, I don't know. I think we have this romanticized image of like the artist who's alone in like a wooden shack somewhere and like can't exist with the outside world. And it's like, I think Nietzsche still would have written a bunch of great books if he had more friends too. Maybe we would have gotten more good books, you know? People love to romanticize mental health struggle. But I don't think solitude is necessarily a bad thing. I think solitude is actually a very necessary thing. One of my pet peeves, and there's no logical reason for this is one of those pet peeves that annoy me for no reason. Probably just maybe me being an asshole if we're being so real. I don't like people that are never inside. Like if I see you post on your story that you're out partying more than 3 nights in a row, like I'm gonna swipe up and be like, you need to get back in the house. Because like, I just feel like it's such a necessary part of being a person to just sit alone with your thoughts. And I think nobody does that anymore because we're either digitally communicating with people or physically communicating with people, you know, going out. And like, it's like, I just think we need more solitude. Not because it's like something that produces amazing art or anything like that. I don't romanticize it. I just think we've lost, in the same way that I say we've lost like sort of like fear as a real emotion we experience, we lost solitude, and we can very easily manufacture that solitude by unplugging for a little bit and seeing all the benefits of it without any of the downsides, such as loneliness or isolation. That's just my thought on that though. I don't know, I feel like whenever I come here to discuss a topic like this, you know, loneliness, isolation, any of these things are maybe a little bit more serious, I feel like I never do a good enough job because I either don't treat it with enough gravity, or I'm too scared to really dive into it in the fear that like I'm going to ruin the nice time that this show is oftentimes. You know, like I look at this show as like, oh, it's fun to just come and talk with people, talk about stuff while I paint. And I feel like I'm scared to go like really deep on stuff. Loneliness and anxiety are the two topics that like, I feel like I've gone through enough where I actually do have some things to say about them. But I'm really scared. I feel like I never do an adequate job because I'm scared of really going in. So let me know if you guys would want to hear something like that. I think on the one hand, you might not be here for that, and I respect that, and I want to make sure that I'm not, you know, just feeding you guys what I want, because you're a whole half of this show, you know, all you watching. But on the other hand, I think some people might want that. So yeah, let me know what you guys think about that in the comments below. This is the painting. Very similar to the painting I did not yesterday, but the day before it. I just really liked it, so I wanted to do it again. And it's not as good this time, but I still like it. I just think the spikes and the stuff is really fun. I don't know, I really like it for some reason. Yeah, go check this out over on Instagram. I have nothing to say about it, but I think they're cool doing like the balls and stuff like that. I don't know. Maybe I just finally am okay at shading something in, so I'm going hog wild with it, which isn't bad either, because practice is good, and that's why we do this show. So go check this out over on Instagram. And until next time, guys, gals, and pals, my name is Max Dice. This has been Paint and Talk episode 106. I'm here every morning, painting, talking with you all.